Thanksgiving is this week, but let's start planning how we are going to use those leftovers so that nothing goes to waste and our food can be stretched and save us money from this one dinner. Let's get started. Whether you are a cook this year at Thanksgiving or you are someone going to someone's house, we all love the leftovers, right? The cooks because we don't have to make them, and the people that are eating it love it because they all know that Thanksgiving leftovers are the best. Savory foods that we make marry together and taste even better the second or third day after we've made them. Things that are better the next day after Thanksgiving is always things like soups, stews, marinated foods, pasta salads, casseroles, coleslaw, cranberry sauce, foods with peppers and onions like pasta sauces, all of those things, after you've made them, taste better the next day. So, making stuff early always is a good idea because those flavors will get in there, and having leftovers is also a great idea. But sometimes we get tired of the same Thanksgiving leftovers. So let's talk about what we can do with some of the most common things that we serve during Thanksgiving. Turkey is a big one. If we have leftovers of turkey, we can always chop that up and we can put it into our favorite dish, turkey and dumplings. I add some potatoes and some carrots to that, and that's usually the first leftover that we have every single time that we have a turkey. I do have our recipe in the 50 Frugal Recipes when cooking on a budget cookbook that's in my description box because it's one of our very favorites. But if you don't want to make dumplings, you could always do turkey and noodles, which is also a big favorite for a lot of people. You can add carrots to that to make it a little more savory and tasty and healthy. You could make turkey casseroles with noodles, with potatoes, with stuffing. You could layer some of those leftovers in there to make a turkey casserole. And don't forget to use your leftover gravy in that turkey casserole. And don't forget to freeze that turkey carcass. Put it into a bag and stick it in your freezer so you can make broth out of it later when you have time. The next basic food we're going to talk about is ham. If you are one of the families that serve maybe both ham and turkey at Thanksgiving because someone doesn't like turkey, don't forget to save that ham bone as well. I love to put it in my split pea soup later in the year, and I take all of the ham off of the bone. I divide it into little baggies and I freeze it so that I can just pull it out when I'm making ham and beans. I also like to add it if I'm making like scallop potatoes and ham. That can be a meal with a vegetable and a salad on its side. And also macaroni and cheese and ham as another main entree. That ham can make several more meals with some other frugal ingredients if we take the time to get all of that off the bone and separate it out and bag it and freeze it. One of our favorite vegetables that we serve on the holidays is fresh green beans with garlic. Now, you may have a green bean casserole that would work really well in that turkey casserole we were talking about, and you could layer that in there. But if you're like us and you serve like green beans with bacon or something like that, where you didn't have a lot of cream sauces mixed in there, or even if you did, you could take those green beans, add sliced up potatoes and cook those and make them into creamed green beans and potatoes. I served this so much when my kids were growing up. It was a side dish that everyone loved, and it's also in my first cookbook. You can also take those green beans, even if they have that mushroom soup mix mixed in, and mix it in to your soups and your stews later in the week, or mix them into a turkey stew. And that mushroom soup will just help thicken it. So don't worry about mixing in leftovers into another dish. That's how we use up things and have no waste. And that's how we make some of the best next recipes, is by using up the things that have already got great flavor in them in the next thing that we've decided to make. If you have any rolls left, which my family goes through rolls like crazy, you could make small turkey slider sandwiches, of course, and I think a lot of people do that. But if you have a lot left and people aren't eating them, you can always stick them in a freezer safe bag and freeze them and thaw them out later to have them with a meal. You could always put them into breadcrumbs and freeze those breadcrumbs to put into your meatballs or your salmon or something you're going to make later in the year. We do that sometimes. And you could also take them and cut them up and make them into bread pudding if your family likes bread pudding. There's so much we can do with leftover bread. We just don't want it to go bad. I love catching cranberries on sale this time of year. If I'm able to get good ones at a good price, I just throw the bag straight in the freezer just the way they are. And then I can pull them out at any time during the year and I can bake with them. But if you have homemade cranberry salad left, you could mix it in yogurt. You could also mix it in baking. You could use it and mix it into jello salads. I do that a lot with the gelled cranberry sauce. I just substitute it into my jello for part of the water, and it makes a really delicious jello dessert. So don't let those cranberries go bad thinking, what in the world would I do with a cranberry? The next thing that we don't want to go to waste, if there's any left, are our mashed potatoes. We can put them on top of shepherd's pie. We could mix them in our soups and our stews to thicken them. We could add egg and cheese and flour and make them into fried potato patties the next day, which is one of my husband's family's favorites. And it's also in this book. I guess I have a lot more holiday leftover ideas in here than I was thinking that I did. Also, and then if you are like our family and you have turkey and noodles, we put those right on top of our mashed potatoes and eat them like that. Turkey and noodles over mashed potatoes are great over the next few days after the holiday. And then the last food item is stuffing that we're going to talk about today. There's so much we can do with stuffing. I have a squash casserole that I make and I use it as a topper. You can use it as a topper on mac and cheese. You could use it as a topper on green bean casserole. Your turkey leftover veggie casserole could have stuffing on top. It is so easy to use up stuffing. You could even take it and mix it into meatballs later on in the week if you decided to have something other than turkey. So many ideas with these leftovers. So as the holiday rolls around and you start seeing that you have some leftover odds and ends in your refrigerator, let's make the best of them this year. Let's make that food stretch. Let's get creative and mix it into some new dishes and make sure that our dollar was well spent and it will help our food budget going forward. If we do it right, the holiday meal at Thanksgiving can feed us for like the next week or more, and still pulling things out of our freezer later on to use. It's endless how far that money can actually go. Sometimes when we spend money on that huge meal, we're like, wow, we spent all this money on one big meal. Look at all of these ways we can make that money work for us with the food that we already purchased. Let me know if you have any favorite holiday leftover ideas that I didn't mention and put them in the comments below. Let's get this conversation going and help each other save money with our holiday leftovers. If this video has brought you value, please give me a thumbs up and I hope to see you in the next one.